I was almost late for work, so I ordered a ride only to find my boss behind the wheel. Under the starry ceiling of his Rolls-Royce, we stared at each other in stunned silence. He raised an eyebrow. "Running late, aren't you?" Later, he docked my pay. I gave him a 1-star rating. I never figured out how I got tangled up with Luke. I guess it all started one random afternoon in elementary school. He tugged my hair, I slapped him across the face, and somehow that one strange slap turned into a lifelong entanglement with the son of a corporate tycoon. We shared a desk in elementary school. When I bent down to tie my shoe, he held my neck down so I couldn't get back up. In middle school, we were in the same class. I said, "It's windy," and he told the guy by the window to open them all. I thought I'd finally escaped him in high school until day 1, when he sat right behind me. Thought I transferred to a fancy private school, huh? He had sharp brows and starry eyes, all youthful arrogance. Sorry to disappoint. I decided to get into college on my own. Oh, really? And your slot at number 1 high wasn't bought? I watched him go from the guy no one dared talk to in middle school to being everyone's favorite in high school. Part of it was because he was ridiculously good-looking. The other part? People finally woke up to the power of money. At that age, when everyone's just a little competitive, he gave each of us a PSP on his birthday. That's when we learned, sure, all roads lead to Rome, but some people are just born there. In high school, Luke copied all my homework. He still ranked first every year. I thought he was some genius, until I realized this guy liked to do practice problems late at night. So during the day, he'd fool around with his crew, laughing and joking, but at night he'd grind like a man possessed. I even saw him on a vocab app at 3 or 4 a.m. If I studied hard, he'd study harder. Back in middle school, he didn't know anything. In high school, he turned into a machine. I once asked why, and he squinted at me with a grin. "You're so smart. Gotta work my ass off if I want to get into the same college as you." Talk about haunting me to the bitter end all because of that one slap. In the end, we didn't end up at the same college. He went abroad, just your classic rich kid move. I thought that was it for us 2 separate lives. Storms and sunshine on our own. Then one day, at 3 a.m., he called. I said, "Dude, ever heard of a time difference?" He just said, "Oh, look outside." I thought he was pulling some cheesy line, like, "Look upon the kingdom I built for you." Nope. A freaking helicopter hovered over our campus quad, kicking up enough wind to get half the dorms peeking out their windows. That's when I realized the background noise on his end was the whir of helicopter blades. Under the moonlight, his voice dropped low. "I missed you." Did he really? What he missed was the midnight wontons and pan-fried dumplings from that alley next to our school. "There's nothing this good in America," he said, devouring them like a madman. And there I was, trying to piece together my shattered worldview. This guy, from 14 kilometers away in the US, craved some wontons. So he took a private jet, switched to a chopper, and came straight here. "I was going to give this to you when I got home," he said. "But since I'm already here..." Under the warm yellow lights of the night market, he pulled a small box from his pocket. Inside was a necklace. Luke had given me tons of stuff before: snacks, school supplies, practice tests, books, but never anything like this. An adult's gift. "Happy birthday, Jennifer," he said. That's when I realized he didn't just come for the wontons. That day was also my 18th birthday. I was graduating, job hunting. The first company I crossed off my list? Luke's. Even though he invited me warmly and promised all kinds of perks, hell no, I wasn't about to let him be my boss. I even interviewed at one of his rival companies. Proudly told him we'd be competitors and to go easy on me. He chuckled on the phone. "You're adorable." I didn't get what he meant until a week into my new job. Just getting settled in, I was told the company had been acquired. New boss, Luke. Late for work. Caught a ride with my boss. Lost my attendance bonus. You'd think growing up in the same class as a billionaire's son, I'd be loaded too, right? Nope. Dead broke. Got kicked out the house the day I turned 18. If Luke had one superpower I couldn't match, It was money. He grinned and said I'd lost my bonus. Come on, Mr. Luke. Let's talk about this. Of course it was the end of the month. I'd busted my ass to not be late all month. I'll do anything, I said. He raised an eyebrow, a mischievous gleam in his eyes. Leaning on the steering wheel, under the Rolls-Royce's starry ceiling, he smirked. Cook for me? How about that? Rich people are insane. I warned Luke, I rarely cook. He nodded. Said he'd pay for everything. So I grabbed lobster, king crab, all the fancy stuff. He leaned on the shopping cart, chin propped on his hand, watching me spend his money with that lazy smile. Whatever. Even if I cleared out the whole store, it wouldn't dent his wallet. When we finished in the seafood aisle, I politely asked if he needed anything else. He was scrolling through his phone, barely looked up. Yeah, we're out of that. Out of what? I didn't get it. Then he looked up with this mysterious smile. A minute later, we were in a certain aisle. He tossed 2 boxes into the cart. I laughed. You've never even dated anyone. What do you need condoms for? He raised a brow. Oh? You got a girlfriend now? Please. I've known this guy for over a decade. If he had some earth-shattering love story, no way I wouldn't know. The truth? He's 27 and still a virgin. If you really have a girlfriend, I'll eat both boxes. Is that so? He smiled, voice laced with a teasing lift. Instant noodles with Australian rock lobster, only someone with a brain like mine could come up with that. When I brought the bowl to the table, he was already on the phone, telling someone to bring up 2 crates of beer. You think I'm a heavy drinker? I glared. Oh? He said, seated, twirling the bottle opener like a magician. You're not gonna lose to a guy who drinks scotch, are you? He baited me, and of course I took it. I grabbed the opener, popped the top, and golden beer poured into the glass. So now, rock lobster noodles became our beer chaser. We drank from dusk's last light into the star-scattered black of night. My vision started to blur, head spinning out of control. I slammed the beer bottle against the table and grabbed the collar of the guy across from me. Didn't you say you could drink? Can you still drink, or not? He was already slumped over the table, only the tips of his ears flushed red showing. His collar was half undone. I had no idea when that happened. My eyes drifted from his clavicle downward, dazed. Suddenly, he grabbed my wrist. Luke's eyes were always so clear and bright. How do you even describe someone like him? Like a fox, obedient, sly, and always scheming behind that pretty face. And now, he was a drunk fox. His eyes locked onto mine, gripped tight on my wrist. And when he spoke, his voice was low and husky, tinged with a nasal slur. Jennifer, what am I supposed to do with you? Huh? I leaned closer, completely confused. We still had some distance between us, but then he suddenly leaned in. His hot breath brushed against my ear, and I felt like if he moved even an inch closer, my heart pounded hard. He was the one who provoked me. He looked like he had the upper hand. And yet, he got drunk before I did. I tried to steady him, but he just shifted all his weight onto me, head down, his breath warm against my neck. He was still chuckling. Luke Dawson. I gritted my teeth as I slowly, very slowly, dragged him toward the front door. I'm calling your driver. I managed to find his phone in his pocket. His password was my birthday. He once told me, back when we were younger, that he used my birthday as his lock screen password so his mum wouldn't guess it. He never changed it for 4 or 5 years. His phone was simple, contacts easy to find. I wasn't trying to pry, but suddenly a message popped up that hit me square in the eyes. Jessica, same room, 806 tomorrow night. Can't wait. I've been thinking about it for 2 days now. Who the hell is Jessica? What's room 806? Can't wait. Luke, could he actually have a girlfriend? I squatted outside his office, couldn't hold it anymore, and grabbed a secretary coming out. How's Mr. Luke? The secretary looked completely lost, so I leaned in closer and whispered, Do you know anything about Mr. Luke's personal relationship status? She jumped like I'd scared her. shook her head fast, and scurried away like I had the plague. I felt deflated and embarrassed for even asking. But no matter how hard I tried, I just couldn't link Luke with the idea of him actually having a girlfriend. So I called everyone we knew. All our mutual friends said the same thing. No clue if he's dating. My bestie giggled and asked why I didn't just ask Luke himself. I sighed into the phone. If he really did have a girlfriend, wouldn't I look like a fool for declaring so confidently in that supermarket that he'd never dated? Luckily, I didn't have to wait long, because Jessica herself came to find me. It was a bright, sunny afternoon. Ever since Luke came to the company, our perks got way better. I found some premium black tea in the break room, the silver spoon stirring it into a swirling red hue. Suddenly, someone stepped into my line of sight. Sunglasses, mask, baseball cap completely covered up. I nearly jumped. "You're Jennifer, right?" It was a woman's voice, vaguely familiar, and she carried a light, pleasant fragrance that instantly made her likable. I replied without thinking. She smiled and took off her sunglasses. How did I feel at that moment? Kind of like the time I ran into a celebrity meet and greet at the mall with my best friend. The actress gave us a single glance, and we couldn't take our eyes off her. But the woman in front of me now, just her eyes put that actress to shame 1,000 times over. The moment she looked at me, my mind went completely blank. And in that instant, I finally realized why she seemed so familiar. But before I could say her name, she covered my mouth. "Shh," I snuck out. My hands started to shake. "You know where Luke is, right? He's my boyfriend." I nearly knocked over my cup of tea. Because the woman in front of me, the one claiming to be Luke's girlfriend, was a top-tier A-list actress. The kind with hundreds of thousands of reposts and comments on Weibo. The kind you only ever see on TV. And yet, here she was, standing right in front of me, all sweet and polite. "Luke talks about you a lot. You're his childhood friend, right?" She stepped in even closer, and I realized she'd backed me into a darker corner of the break room. "I'm Jessica. You might have heard of my stage name. I came today because I wanted to talk to you." She smiled. "Could you stay away from Luke?" I froze. She came all this way, just to tell me to stay away from him. Was this a threat? A warning? A power move? So they really were together? She liked Luke? Someone that far out of reach, who lived a life so removed from ours, she actually liked Luke? My heart slammed in my chest. It all felt surreal. I stood there, paralyzed. She let out a soft chuckle. "You look like you've got something to say." I took a deep breath. She looked so pleased with my nervousness. I stared at her, carefully choosing my words. Can I have your autograph?" That night, lying in bed, I flipped the photo over and over again. Most celebrity signatures are all flair. Jessica's was no different. And still, I couldn't believe it. Luke had a girlfriend, and not just any girlfriend, a freaking actress. But then again, maybe it wasn't so surprising. Luke had always lived in high society. Maybe he was the one all the actresses were chasing. But just a few days ago, he and I were sitting right at that same table, drinking together. Now I felt this sudden, inexplicable emptiness. I thought Luke was someone real, someone standing right next to me. Turns out, he wasn't. He went and secretly got himself a girlfriend, and I'd been laughing at him for being single his whole life. Turns out, I was the only clown left performing solo on that stage. I nearly wore out my phone screen, but still couldn't bring myself to text him. I typed so many words, then deleted them all. What was so hard about saying something like, "You got a girlfriend and didn't tell me," and yet, I just couldn't do it. Luke went behind my back and started dating someone. That bastard. I stared at the unfinished beer from last time, and before I knew it, I'd grabbed a bottle and headed out the door. Wild dogs barked down the street. A few scattered street lamps lit the road ahead. Strangers brushed past, and my heart pounded like mad. I didn't know where this rush came from or how to calm it. The park near my place had long been empty of playing kids. I sat alone on the swing, the pale moon sinking into the dark sky, until a pair of black leather shoes entered my view. I looked up, stunned, staring at the man standing in front of me, hands tucked into his coat pockets. Honestly, today felt cursed. I'd run into 2 celebrities in a row. I finally found a coffee shop that was still open and tried to warm my hands on the cup, only to find it was an iced Americano. Damn. Across from me sat a man in gold-rimmed glasses, sharp features, lounging casually in his chair. His charming, almond-shaped eyes glanced lightly over me. "Be my girlfriend," he said. I nearly choked on my coffee. A confession from someone I'd just met? What kind of ridiculous luck was this? And not just anyone, he was famous. A well-known director, an investor. I'd seen him in magazines. Full-page features. His name was Jason Smith. The man looked displeased with my coughing fit. He frowned, waited for me to finish, then slid a card across the table. 1 million. My throat seized up, I couldn't get a word out. "There's $1 million on this card. Be my girlfriend. It won't last long, a year at most. Don't worry, I won't tie you down forever." He raised an eyebrow and gave a short hum. "Not enough?" I struggled to reboot my brain. But before I could say a word, he slapped another card on the table. 3 million. And then, like it still wasn't enough, came another one. 5 million. I've said it before, I'm broke. Rent, utilities, groceries, daily expenses, they drained every penny I had. Dreams always feel so far away. So does pride. Now here stood a man saying, "Jennifer, I'll give you more than you could ever earn in years." Sure, he was a stranger, a famous stranger, but I couldn't deny it was tempting. There really wasn't a solid reason to say no. I took a deep breath and pushed the card back. "Forget it. I don't want it." He lifted a brow. "Oh, I don't think saying no is the smartest move for you. The coffee here probably wasn't bad, but I couldn't taste a thing." I stood up, and he tilted his head to look up at me. "Yeah, I just don't want to be your girlfriend." He looked genuinely surprised for a second, then laughed. "Really? Miss Jennifer? You're that naive? Call it whatever you want." I didn't look back, grabbed my bag, and turned to leave until his next words froze me in place. 3 months ago, I had a fight with my girlfriend. I had no idea why he suddenly brought up his ex, but hey, people are naturally nosy. And this was celebrity gossip. He kept talking, calm as ever. "Now she's with another guy, someone you know. Would you help me put on a little show? It won't cost you anything. Besides, I know you need the money, Miss Jennifer, don't you? It's a good deal. All you have to do is stand next to me. Do nothing else. 5 million. I turned around, leaned in, eyes locked on his. "Your ex is Jessica, and her new guy is Luke, right?" He smiled, eyes blooming like peach blossoms. "Correct." I nodded, returned to my seat, and clutched the 3 cards. "You'll need to give me a written statement that this money is a gift." He curled his lips slightly and leaned back in his chair like a man fully at ease. "I'll take care of it, Miss Jennifer. You have my word." I didn't know what was wrong with me. Anytime Luke came up, I got impulsive. I never quite figured out what he meant to me. Someone important, a dear friend, my best friend. And now that best friend had a girlfriend, and I was in pieces. Would Guan Yu be upset if Zhang Fei got a girlfriend? I hugged my head, seriously pondering the question. Even asked my bestie. She replied, "You are not a fish. How do you know if the fish is happy? You are not Zhang Fei. How do you know if he's emo? What kind of answer even is that?" Scowling, I turned off my phone. It had been 13 days since Luke and I last spoke. As a proper girlfriend, Jason invited me out to dinner today, and specifically told me the restaurant had standards I had to wear heels. I hardly ever wear heels. Last time was probably our graduation ball. Back in sophomore year, Luke once invited me to a high society event. He pulled up to my dorm in a luxury car and said there'd be good food. Asked if I wanted to come. I had no idea it was a rich kid networking event for future careers. I couldn't even walk properly in heels, and I was too nervous to eat anything at the buffet. I even twisted my ankle. He ended up carrying me back to the dorm. Thinking back, I probably embarrassed myself in front of him plenty of times. In the classy restaurant, the cello played a low, soothing melody. The four of us sat in silence. I never expected Jason to be so ruthless. He invited the other two here directly. Luke and Jessica sat on one side, Jason and I on the other. The temperature dropped to freezing, until Jessica let out a sharp laugh that sent chills down my spine. "Jason, is this your girlfriend? Could you stop dragging innocent girls into your mess?" The tension was so thick. Her words nearly cut the air. Jason, beside me, had been cold as stone since he sat down. He fired back. "And who are you to tell me who I can date?" "Oh, please, date whoever you want. Date an 80-year-old woman for all I care." "Miss Jessica, as an actress, you should really work on your micro-expressions. It's obvious you're upset." Shameless. "Jason, let me tell you something." The argument was heating up fast. I started worrying if I should step in and break it up. But then I caught Luke in my peripheral vision, completely enjoying the show. He was the only one at the table who had ordered food. So he cut into his steak at a leisurely pace, watching the drama unfold. He seemed to notice me, glanced my way, then looked back down like I was a stranger. This was our first meeting since I found out he had a girlfriend. Luke sliced the steak with precision, lowering his eyes as he ate, completely unfazed by the verbal battle erupting around him. His eyelashes were long, casting a delicate shadow across his lids. I didn't even know what the bitter sting in my chest was, until I suddenly felt something brushing against my calf, his suit pants. The fabric slid slowly up my bare leg. I looked up, stunned, at the man across from me. But he calmly kept eating his steak, as if nothing was happening. And yet the leg under the table kept going further and further. A strange numbness crept up from my shin. I was wearing a semi-formal dress, the slit design only encouraging his boldness. I glared at him hard. He finally lifted his eyes, a faint smirk tugging at his lips, but the movement under the table didn't stop. Just as I was about to say something, the woman at the next table suddenly stood up. "You're unbelievable. I can't even stand being in the same restaurant as you." I'd been so distracted with Luke and our little battle under the table, I hadn't even noticed when the two of them started fighting. By the time I came to, she was already storming out with her bag in hand. Jason sat stunned for a few seconds before abruptly getting up to chase after her. That left just me and Luke, staring at each other. He raised an eyebrow and pulled his leg back under the table. He looked like he wanted to say something, opened his mouth, but I shot up from my seat. "Oh, I just remembered. I've got something urgent to do. Gotta go." The cello's melody remained slow and deep. My hurried steps nearly knocked into a waiter with a tray. Stars twinkled outside the window as I rushed into the night, gasping for breath. I didn't even eat the Michelin-starred Wellington steak Jason had promised I wouldn't have to pay for. I just ran. I had no idea where I was. Jason had driven us here, and now he was gone, no car, no ride. This kind of mountaintop resort restaurant wasn't exactly Uber-friendly. I had no choice but to walk down the hill, and I kept regretting it. What was I even running from? Wouldn't it have been easy to ask Luke to drive me home? When did I become so scared to talk to him? Thankfully, the walk down wasn't long. The evening breeze carried the scent of wildflowers. I could hear someone following behind me, slow, steady steps. I stopped suddenly and turned around. Luke didn't expect me to stop so abruptly, and almost bumped into me. He sighed. I thought, he used to follow behind me like this after school too. The road ahead stretched out wide and empty, lined with towering buildings. The sunset sank into the shimmering river. Past the traffic jam of rush hour, the evening breeze carried a quiet fatigue. He used to curl up his test papers into a tube, tap me on the forehead, and ask if I'd be sad when he went abroad. But back then, I didn't really understand what goodbyes meant. Luke, stop following me. I snapped out of the memory and stared at him. He seemed momentarily stunned. Why? He asked, lips curving faintly as the sun set slowly in his eyes. Why? Well, not everything in this world has a why. I walked faster, silently hoping a cab would miraculously appear, but all that passed by were rich boys in roaring sports cars. He still followed behind me. For a moment, I felt like I was floating out of my body. The distant light on the mountain felt like a divine signal. My restless chest had nowhere to go. The sky was still streaked with light. I started to run, no idea where I was going or why. My heels wobbled, dress dragging, purse swinging, everything seemed to be holding me back. Life was full of things we wanted to escape from. A mess of thoughts tangled around all the emotions I didn't know what to do with. I stumbled, gasping for breath, bracing my knees. He was still behind me. Done running? Don't twist your ankle, he said, reaching out. I smacked his hand away. Don't touch me. Behind him, the sky burned crimson. He raised an eyebrow. I sank to the ground. It looked like a little waterside area on the mountain. What I meant was, my dress was wet. Hugging my knees, I sat there while he stood in front of me, the water soaking his shoes. He called my name. I splashed him. Leave me alone! Water ran down his brows and lashes. I didn't know why I felt so frustrated, unwilling, disappointed. Can't you just stay away from me? Why do you keep following me, Luke? We're not from the same world. Don't you get it? Why are you trying to be my friend? Why do you include me in everything? I'm tired of you, tired of myself. I buried my face in my arms. If my world was pitch black, then maybe, just maybe, I wouldn't see anything at all. I heard the water shift, felt myself fall under a shadow. He probably crouched down in front of me. When he touched me, I flinched. He grabbed my wrist and forced my hands away. Our eyes met his, like the setting sun, burning red, serious and exposed. A bird flapped its wings overhead. The water rippled. Silence. Then it hit me how embarrassing that outburst was. I blushed and tried to pull my hand back. He wouldn't let go. And then his lips were on mine. No warning. My heart pounded like a drum. His long lashes cast a shadow over us as he kissed me. He didn't stop. I had my heels in hand, and somehow I ended up on his back. The mountain sunset stretched long and slow. I counted the mess of strands at the back of his head just to distract myself. How much farther? I asked. He chuckled. You're the one who ran. My car's still at the top. My cheeks burned and the heat wouldn't go away. God, it was so humiliating. Getting confessed to by someone this familiar, it felt like I couldn't show my face ever again. Luke, you said it. You're the one who said you like me. I mumbled from his back. Yeah. Do you know you actually like me? I do. A bird kicked off a trembling branch. The leaves rustled down all around us. That's why I don't know what to do with you, Jennifer. Climbing uphill was hard enough, and he was still carrying me. Then why did you get someone to pretend to be your girlfriend just to mess with me? I tightened my arms around his neck. So? Did it work? He asked, shifting me slightly. You're so childish, Luke. That day, Luke told me a lot I didn't know. Like how in middle school, he helped me get into the competition when that spot was supposed to be given to someone with connections. Like how he was the one who secretly put milk on my desk every day for a week in high school. Or how he acted out whenever I got close to another guy because he was jealous. Like how he flew in on a helicopter for my birthday just to be the first one to say happy birthday. Like how he didn't know how to tell me he liked me. I met Jessica when I was studying abroad. We're old friends. That day she said I'd never make a move even after liking you for so long. So she offered to test the waters for me. How was I supposed to know she also wanted to piss off her director ex? Jason probably wants to kill me now. So it had all been a setup from the start? Then I don't have to eat those 2 boxes anymore. I pouted, remembering the promise I'd made in the supermarket that day. Luke walked me to my door and ruffled my hair. Yeah, you don't have to. I've got other plans for those 2 boxes. What? I stopped mid-sentence, face heating up again. The guy in front of me chuckled. What are you thinking? He tapped my forehead lightly. I meant I could use them to blow up balloons. Duh. Who? Who the hell uses those things to blow up balloons? I shoved him out the door and slammed it shut. The moonlight spilled in through a crack in the window. I thought I could hear my own heartbeat chaotic and loud, like a battlefield no one else knew about. There was something Luke didn't know. Back in our senior year, when he suddenly announced he was going abroad, I was in a daze the whole day. I felt wronged, like someone had stolen what was mine. I even wanted to grab him by the collar and demand why, when he promised we'd apply to the same university, he suddenly decided to go overseas. But I had no right to ask. So I did my best to look unfazed, to act like I didn't care. So I stayed by his side, watched him smile like nothing mattered. He even grinned and asked, "Aren't you even a little sad, your bro's leaving the country?" I crumpled my scratch paper into a ball. It hurt just to hear him say it, but I still tossed it lightly at him. If you're going to America, remember to bring me back some souvenirs. I didn't even dare ask if he'd ever come back. On his last day, his last class, somehow he got into a scuffle with a bunch of guys during break. The crowd was noisy and rowdy, right behind me. I don't know how many times my pen redrew the same formula on the page. His voice echoed through the chaos. The seat next to me was suddenly filled. He must have been pushed into it. Everyone surrounded him, messing around. He got shoved so close. He leaned into me. It was early summer, the first days of short sleeves. The fabric of his shirt brushed against my bare arm, and he leaned in so much I could feel the heat of his skin. I kept my head down, trying to work through the problems. But he just leaned on me, laughing and joking with the others. The noise came from people, from cicadas, but the one who couldn't solve the problems, who could hear her own heartbeat, was me. After Luke left, I still had to prepare for college entrance exams. When you're young, you don't really understand what goodbyes mean. So when someone close to you leaves, the pain feels inexplicable. I dreamed about him more than once. More than once. I woke up to a sunset outside the window and blank pages in my hands. In the dreams, he turned and gave me that infuriating grin. Asking why, I kept staring at him. And I, eyes red, would ask why he left me behind. Extra, Jason and Jessica's wedding took place in the early summer, with cicadas chirping in the background. In some ways, Jessica was a bit whimsical. Their wedding wasn't some grand event. Only close friends and family were invited. They held it in their backyard. I opened the invitation. All guests are asked to prepare a talent performance as part of the wedding festivities. What kind of wedding makes the guests perform? The bride and groom just wanted to sit there and be entertained? Still, somehow, everyone actually brought something: singing, dancing, magic tricks, even stand-up comedy. It was loud and lively, more like a hangout than a wedding. Even the food was just a giant backyard BBQ buffet. At least there was one proper wedding tradition: the bouquet toss. I was waiting eagerly next to the grill for some juicy meat when their husky came over and nudged me. The big fluffy beast threw me off balance, and I stumbled into the person next to me, Luke, who grabbed my waist to steady me. And the bouquet? It landed squarely in my arms. The guests erupted into cheers. Luke didn't seem the least bit embarrassed. He even looked pleased. I just silently turned away. His hand stayed firmly on my waist. He leaned in and whispered by my ear, "Isn't it time to start thinking about marriage, future Mrs. Luke?" Oh yeah, and their wedding had one last twist. Every guest had to draw a slip of paper. According to them, 2 lucky guests would be chosen. One would win all the wedding gift money. The other would have to clean up the entire wedding venue. Whose ridiculous idea was this? I unfolded my slip of paper, and Luke let out a little. Oh? So guess what? Luke got the money. I got the cleanup duty. Everyone had left. I stood there with a broom, staring at the mess. Seriously, what kind of hosts just leave their guests to clean up? Luke laughed beside me. I raised the broom to hit him, but then noticed something odd. The broom's end didn't close all the way. I opened it and found a ring of red cash tucked inside, along with Jessica's handwritten note. Back in my hometown, the person who cleans the wedding site will have a year of good luck in love. If you have someone you love, may you be happy and stay together forever. Wishing you a life full of love and blessings.